tried and failed to move on immigration. 4 bills fell short of the 60 votes needed to advance, but a bipartisan compromise came closest. It offered eventual citizenship to 1.8 million young people who had been protected under the DACA program, but it slowed the pace of funding for a border wall. President Trump threatened a veto, and Democrats, including Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, blamed him for the stalemate.
There's only one reason why the Senate will be unable to reach a bipartisan solution to DACA: President Trump. President Trump created this problem by terminating the DACA program last August. Since that decision, President Trump has stood in the way of every single proposal that could become law.
The bill backed by Mr. Trump garnered the least support in the Republican majority Senate. It, too, offered possible citizenship for DACA recipients, plus more immediate funding for a border wall and limits on legal immigration. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell blamed Democrats.
Once again, when the hour came to actually make law, instead of just making political points, our friends across the aisle were either unable or unwilling to get something done. After all the talk.
Today's failure puts the immigration issue on hold for the moment. Both the House and the Senate are out all of next week. The Republican chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee has made a rare rebuke of Attorney General Jeff Sessions over criminal justice reform. Sessions had slammed a bipartisan bill to reduce jail terms for nonviolent offenders. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley rejected the criticism, accused Sessions and the White House of meddling in the legislative process, and said that Sessions should have resigned from his job. In South Africa, a new president took office today after the ruling African National Congress ousted Jacob Zuma over long-standing corruption scandals. Lindsay Hilsum of Independent Television News reports from Cape Town.
I, Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa,
swear that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa.
Swear that I will be faithful.
South Africa's new president was sworn in after 24 hours of high political drama.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Last night, former President Jacob Zuma seemed jovial as he addressed the nation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Why do you look serious? You can't even say good evening.
There was no reason for him to resign, he said. But then he did anyway.
I have therefore come to the decision to resign as President of the Republic with immediate effect.
In the South African Parliament this morning, they sang "Zuma has gone" as they prepared to elect Cyril Ramaphosa.
Honourable members, can we have some order?
The radical economic freedom fighters staged a walkout because they want general elections, not the coronation of a new ANC chief. But amongst the other opposition parties, there was tremendous goodwill towards Mr. Ramaphosa.
We wholeheartedly support the nomination, Mr. President.
He acknowledged the problems the country faces.
Issues that have to do with corruption, issues of how we can straighten out our state-owned enterprises, and how we deal with state capture are issues that are on our radar screen.
Outside Parliament, ANC supporters were jubilant. After nearly a decade of corruption and mismanagement, President Ramaphosa, they hope, will restore their party's pride and the country's economic fortunes.
That report from Lindsay Hilsum of Independent Television News. The president of Turkey and the U.S.'s top diplomat met today amid tensions over the Syria conflict. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson arrived in Ankara for talks with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Turkey has demanded that the U.S. stop supporting Kurdish fighters in Syria. Last month, the Turks launched an air and ground offensive against the Kurds in northwest Syria. The United States and Britain publicly accused Russia today of carrying out a crippling cyber attack last summer. It initially focused on Ukraine, but spread worldwide. The White House says that it did billions of dollars of damage. Moscow denied the accusation today and said that it was part of a Russophobic campaign by Western nations. On Wall Street, financial markets rallied for the fifth day in a row, led by tech stocks. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained nearly 307 points to close at 25,200. The Nasdaq rose 112 points, and the S&P 500 added 32. And finally, highlights from Day 6 at the Winter Olympics in South Korea. 22-year-old American skier Michaela Schifrin won gold in the giant slalom. She's going for as many as 4 gold medals at these games. And Norwegian Axel Lund Svindal won the men's downhill. At 35, he is the oldest gold medalist in alpine skiing ever.